The Prophet asked, Shaitan, and who are your 11 friends? Shaitan, the Cursed One, O Prophet of Allah, my friends are 1. First, is that leader who is an oppressor causes distress. 2. My second friend is that businessman who does his business by deceiving his customers. 3. My third friend is that believer who drinks alcohol. 4. My fourth friend is that rich person who is proud of his wealth and who angrily refuses to give money in charity to the poor and needy. 5. My fifth friend is that person who does backbiting, who talks in such a way that enmity increases between the people, and who reveals the defects of people. 6. My sixth friend is that person who kills another human being for any reason other than for Allah. 7. My seventh friend is that person who snatches away the belongings of an orphan. 8. My eighth friend is that person whose livelihood is based on collecting interest. 9. My ninth friend is that person who gives more importance to his worldly life rather than giving importance to his life after death. This friend of mine prefers to perform those deeds which he knows will bring benefits in this world, but in the hereafter, such deeds will bring loss. 10. My 10th friend is that person who keeps long hopes and delays in asking for forgiveness from Allah. 11. My 11th friend is that person who helps women increase their interest in performing magic on people. These are my 11 friends who are the worst enemies of Allah. The Prophet asked, Shaitan, tell us why you stop my followers from offering their prayers. What benefit do you get out of it? Shaitan, the Cursed One, whenever your follower recites prayers, my body gets feverish and it starts to shiver, and with a sick body I cannot deceive your followers from obeying Allah. The Prophet asked, why do you stop my followers from observing their fasts during the month of Ramadan? Shaitan, the Cursed One, I can't deceive them during time they fast because I'm thrown into prison and I can't misguide them. The Prophet asked, when my followers prepare to fight in Allah's way, why do you stop them? Shaitan, the Cursed One, when they go to fight for Allah's sake, my hands are tied to my neck, and I can't deceive them by having my hands tied to my neck. The Prophet asked, why do you prevent my followers from performing Hajj? Shaitan, the Cursed One, when they go for Hajj, their movement of going towards Hajj ties my legs. And with my legs tied, I cannot misguide your followers from obeying Allah's commands. The Prophet asked, why do you prevent my followers from reciting the Holy Qur'an? Shaitan, the Cursed One, when they recite the Holy Qur'an, my existence turns into non-existence. And without having any existence, how can I deceive your followers from living according to the will of Allah? Prophet, why do you prevent my followers from offering supplication? Shaitan, the Cursed One, when they recite I become deaf and dumb. How can I deceive your followers without having the ability to speak and the ability to listen? The Prophet asked, Shaitan, tell me why you prevent my followers from paying sadaqah. Shaitan, the Cursed One, O Prophet of Allah, when your followers pay sadaqah, giving money in charity, it is as if I am being cut in two with a saw, and one piece is thrown to the east and the other piece to the west. The Prophet asked, why do you get such a strong blow when my followers pay sadaqah? Why do you get cut into two pieces? Shaitan, the Cursed One, whenever a person gives his money in charity, that person receives 3 benefits from Allah. The first benefit such a person receives is that Allah becomes his borrower. The second benefit is that Allah makes heaven his inheritance, such that he will be called an owner of heaven. And the third benefit is that Allah increases his wealth 700 times, which in turn this person uses the increased wealth for charity. Prophet, now tell me, when does a person who is my follower get under your total control? Shaitan, the Cursed One, O Prophet of Allah, your follower gets under my total control when they perform 3 things. The first thing is that when your follower becomes stingy, he gets under my total control. Stinginess is the root of all sin, which makes a person perform all types of other sins. The second thing is that when a person starts forgiving his own sins, this person performs deeds that are against the will of Allah. Then he does not remember them nor does he ask for forgiveness. At that time he comes under my absolute control. And the third thing is that when a person gambles, O Prophet of Allah, any person who performs these 3 deeds falls under my absolute control. The Prophet asked, Shaitan, you know that Allah has given my followers the strong weapon of repentance. Whenever my followers ask for true forgiveness with an intention of not repeating that sin, Allah forgives them. How do you deal with this problem? Shaitan, the Cursed One, I know, O Prophet, Allah has given them this strong weapon, but I have prepared myself to confront your followers with their strong weapon. The Prophet asked, what method do you have through which you prevent my followers from asking for forgiveness? Shaitan, the Cursed One, O Prophet of Allah, to deal with this problem I have created 4 different units. Each unit deals with a different age group of your followers. In each group I make your followers perform such deeds which makes their repentance invalid. The Prophet asked, what are these units? Shaitan, the Cursed One, in the first unit I occupy your old men in 4 sins. I make them lie, I make them accuse someone of something which they have not done, I make them testify falsely, and I make them perform prayers without having the complete knowledge of the laws of performing prayers. O Prophet of Allah, your old men will be offering dua as in reciting obligatory prayers, but if you talk to them you will hear them talking bad about other people, falsely attributing bad deeds to other people without having any knowledge about those people, and reciting obligatory prayers without knowing all the laws of prayers. Your old men will not try to learn the laws of prayers because of their pride ego. Whenever some young men from your ummah try to explain the right way of performing wudu, your old men will get mad and say, you have just entered Islam, and now you are trying to teach us how to perform wudu. O Prophet of Allah, my second unit is that which takes care of your young men. I do not prevent them from reciting prayers, performing hajj or anything else. Except that I lure them into 2 things. First, I make them look at things that are forbidden for them, and secondly, I make them listen to those things that are forbidden for them. O Prophet of Allah, my third unit is that which deceives your old women. I entice them to backbite, to falsely accuse others, to destroy the character of men and women, and to perform magic on the people. O Prophet of Allah, my fourth unit is not active because it is supposed to take care of the young women of your ummah. Since all of your young girls are already my soldiers and I have a strong hold over them, I do not have a hard time deceiving them. However, sometimes I may find one girl in 1,000 that is following your way of life and I will not be able to do anything to deceive her. The Prophet asked, Shaitan, tell me, do you get upset when you see any of your soldiers fleeing from you and following Allah's commands? Shaitan, the Cursed One, O Prophet of Allah, I do not get upset. I wait until that person performs any good deed, then I go to that person again and deceive him to believe that he has done a favor for Allah by performing that good deed. The Prophet asked, you make that person feel that he has done a favor for Allah? Shaitan, the Cursed One, yes, O Prophet of Allah. That person goes around after performing a good deed telling people what he has done. Such as, he recited prayers, observed fasts, paid so much money in charity, or helped someone in their time of need. The Prophet asked, Shaitan, how do you deceive those followers of mine who try their best not to be deceived by you? Shaitan, the Cursed One, Allah made one deed, which if your followers perform with the right intention and at the right time, then they can never be deceived by me. And that deed is obligatory prayers. But to solve this problem, what I did was that with every one of your followers I have assigned to them one of my soldiers, whose name is Mutawaki. And his job is to make your followers procrastinate and to preoccupy them in such activities due to which they will recite their prayers at the last minute. And when your followers recite their prayers at this time, they recite it in such a manner that their prayers are not acceptable to Allah. The Prophet asked, Shaitan, since you know so much about Islam and its followers, why don't you ask Allah for forgiveness? Shaitan, the Cursed One, O Prophet of Allah, Allah does not want me to ask for forgiveness, so what can I do? The Prophet asked, Shaitan, I heard that sometimes you feel as if someone has thrown a heavy stone on your head, which breaks your head into several pieces. Shaitan, the Cursed One, O Prophet of Allah, yes, it is true. Whenever your follower truly repents to Allah, I feel like that. The Prophet asked, Shaitan, I heard that sometimes you feel as if your body is being cut into several pieces. Shaitan, the Cursed One, yes, when your followers go out to fight for the sake of Allah, I feel like that. The Prophet asked, I heard that sometimes you feel as someone is slapping you. Shaitan, the Cursed One, yes, when your followers recite the Qur'an and with correct pronunciation.